Welcome, wanderers of the dark and seekers of the unknown, to Whispers on the Asphalt, your go-to channel for spine-tingling tales and haunted histories. Here, we explore the eerie corners of the world where shadows stretch longer than they should and the hum of tires on pavement is often accompanied by whispers from beyond. Today, we embark on a chilling journey along some of the most haunted highways in the Pacific Northwest, a region renowned for its breathtaking landscapes, dense forests, and a rich tapestry of folklore that blurs the line between myth and reality. The Pacific Northwest, with its mist-shrouded mountains, winding coastal roads, and endless stretches of wilderness, has long been a breeding ground for ghostly legends and unexplained phenomena. These highways, carved through rugged terrain and steeped in history, are more than mere conduits for travel. They are corridors of mystery, where the past lingers like fog over a moonlit lake. From spectral hitchhikers to phantom vehicles, from cursed landmarks to blood-soaked stretches of asphalt, these roads hold secrets that defy explanation and challenge the boundaries of belief. In this two-part series, we will peel back the layers of the supernatural, revealing the haunting stories behind the region's most infamous routes. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your courage tested as we delve into the unknown. So buckle up, keep your headlights on, and join us as we navigate the shadowy highways of the Pacific Northwest. Let the journey begin. The sinister allure of Oregon's most haunted hospital in the mist-shrouded corners of Oregon, where dense forests meet jagged coastlines and sprawling valleys whisper secrets to the wind, lies a place that defies the boundaries between life and death. This is no ordinary location. It is a hospital, once a beacon of healing and hope, now a chilling monument to tragedy and despair. Beneath its weathered walls and cracked windows, echoes of suffering linger, and shadows move where no one should tread. It is here, in this forsaken sanctuary of medicine gone awry, that we begin our descent into the macabre. The haunted hospitals of Oregon are not merely relics of a bygone era. They are living, breathing entities steeped in sorrow. Each corridor carries the weight of countless stories, tales of patients who never left, doctors whose mistakes haunt them still, and nurses who vanished without a trace. These institutions stand as grim reminders of humanity's fragility, places where science clashed with superstition, and where death refused to release its grip. From unexplained screams echoing through empty wards to ghostly apparitions roaming dimly lit hallways, these hospitals have become infamous for their spectral inhabitants. As storytellers of the supernatural, we are drawn to such locations not only for their eerie ambience but also for the profound questions they raise about existence itself. What happens when the line between healer and haunted blurs? How do the spirits of those who suffered unimaginable pain manifest in the world of the living? And why, despite the overwhelming fear they inspire, do these sights continue to captivate us? Join me, dear reader, as we embark on an exploration of Oregon's most haunted hospital, a place where reality bends and terror takes root. In this episode, we will peel back the layers of history, uncovering the tragic events that gave rise to its haunted reputation. We'll delve into first-hand accounts from those brave enough, or foolhardy enough, to spend nights within its decaying walls. Along the way, we'll confront the unsettling truths that lie hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered. Prepare yourself for a journey unlike any other, where every creak of the floorboards and flicker of light may signal something far more sinister than mere coincidence. Welcome to the first installment of our series, Most Haunted Hospital in Oregon. Turn down the lights, keep your wits about you, and step cautiously forward, for what awaits inside may leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the afterlife. A legacy of suffering. The origins of Oregon's most haunted hospital. To truly understand the haunting presence that permeates the halls of Oregon's most infamous hospital, we must first journey back to its origins, a story steeped in ambition, innovation, and ultimately tragedy. Built in 1912 during a time of rapid medical advancement, the hospital was originally envisioned as a state-of-the-art facility designed to revolutionize healthcare in the Pacific Northwest. Nestled amidst towering pines and rolling hills, its grand architecture promised hope and healing to the sick and wounded. Yet beneath its polished facade lay seeds of discord that would grow over decades into something far darker. The hospital opened its doors under the name Willowcrest Sanitarium, a nod to the tranquil surroundings it sought to emulate. At its inception, It served as a haven for tuberculosis patients, offering fresh air treatments and cutting-edge therapies. For nearly 2 decades, it thrived as a symbol of progress, attracting renowned physicians and researchers eager to push the boundaries of modern medicine. However, cracks began to form almost imperceptibly at first. Small oversights in patient care, whispers of unethical experiments conducted behind closed doors, and mounting tensions among staff members who felt increasingly burdened by the institution's relentless pursuit of perfection. By the 1930s, economic hardship brought on by the Great Depression forced the hospital to expand its scope, taking in psychiatric patients alongside those suffering from physical ailments. This shift marked the beginning of its descent into chaos. Overcrowding became rampant, with beds crammed into every available space. Patients were often neglected, their cries for help drowned out by the incessant hum of machinery and the hurried footsteps of overwhelmed nurses. Reports of violent outbursts, both from patients and staff, began to surface, painting a picture of an environment teetering on the brink of collapse. One particularly harrowing incident occurred in 1947, when a fire broke out in Ward C, the psychiatric wing. Though officially ruled accidental, rumors swirled that the blaze had been deliberately set by a disgruntled orderly seeking revenge against abusive supervisors. The inferno claimed the lives of 17 patients, many of whom were restrained to their beds and unable to escape. Survivors spoke of hearing desperate pleas for help amid the smoke and flames, voices that some claim can still be heard echoing through the ruins today. Perhaps the darkest chapter in Willowcrest's history unfolded during the 1950s and 1960s, a period marked by widespread experimentation with controversial treatments such as electroshock therapy and lobotomies. While proponents hailed these methods as breakthroughs, critics argued they amounted to little more than sanctioned torture. Countless patients endured procedures without informed consent, leaving them permanently scarred, both physically and mentally. One former nurse, speaking anonymously years later, described witnessing unspeakable horrors in the operating rooms, including botched surgeries and patients left to die in agony due to lack of proper postoperative care. By the late 1970s, public outcry over conditions at Willowcrest reached a fever pitch. Investigations revealed systemic neglect, abuse, and even allegations of illegal organ harvesting. The hospital's reputation was irreparably tarnished, leading to its closure in 1983. Abandoned and left to decay, the building quickly became a magnet for urban explorers, paranormal investigators, and thrill-seekers, all drawn by tales of ghostly encounters and inexplicable phenomena. Today, the remnants of Willowcrest Sanitarium stand as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for both compassion and cruelty. Its crumbling walls bear witness to the countless lives touched and shattered within its confines. As we delve deeper into its haunted history, one question looms large: do the spirits of those who suffered here remain trapped, unable to find peace? Or is there another force at play, something older and more malevolent than human folly? Only time, and perhaps courage, will tell. The ghosts of Ward C, echoes of tragedy among the myriad of chilling tales surrounding Willowcrest Sanitarium, none evoke as much dread as the haunting legacy of Ward C, known colloquially as the Burning Wing. This section of the hospital has become synonymous with terror. Its charred remains a grim testament to the catastrophic fire that claimed so many lives in 1947. But beyond the historical account lies a darker narrative, one whispered in hushed tones by those brave enough to venture near its ruins. Here, the veil between the living and the dead grows thin, and the spirits of the past refuse to be silenced. Eyewitness accounts paint a disturbing picture of Ward C's spectral inhabitants. Visitors report hearing faint cries for help emanating from the scorched corridors, even though no one has set foot inside the wing in decades. These disembodied voices, often described as agonized and pleading, seem to intensify during storms, as if the rain and thunder awaken memories of that fateful night. One urban explorer recounted stumbling upon a rusted gurney partially buried in debris, only to feel an icy hand grasp his shoulder moments later. When he turned around, there was nothing but emptiness, yet the sensation lingered, as though invisible fingers continued to dig into his flesh. The most frequently reported apparition is that of a woman clad in tattered hospital robes, her face obscured by smoke-like tendrils that swirl around her head. Dubbed the Grey Lady by locals, she is said to wander the perimeter of Ward C, occasionally pausing to peer through broken windows with hollow eyes. Witnesses describe feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness in her presence, accompanied by the acrid smell of burnt wood and flesh. Some claim she reaches out toward them before vanishing into thin air, leaving behind a cold draft that chills them to the bone. Paranormal investigators have documented numerous anomalies within the vicinity of Ward C. Thermal cameras reveal inexplicable hotspots amidst the otherwise frigid environment, particularly near areas believed to have housed patient beds. Perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from audio recordings captured during overnight vigils. Frantic whispers, and what sounds like the crackling of flames. One investigator swore he heard a voice clearly say, "Help me! I'm still here," when played back in isolation. Adding to the lore are reports of poltergeist activity attributed to the restless souls of Ward C. Objects reportedly move on their own, especially items resembling medical equipment, scalpels, syringes, and force stands found scattered across the grounds despite efforts to clear them away. On several occasions, visitors have claimed to see shadowy figures darting through the wreckage, their movements jerky and unnatural. Others describe being pushed or shoved by unseen forces, as though the spirits are attempting to drive intruders from their domain. Even seasoned skeptics find themselves unsettled by the sheer consistency of these encounters. A documentary crew filming a segment on abandoned hospitals experienced technical difficulties whenever they approached Ward C, with cameras malfunctioning and batteries draining inexplicably fast. One member of the team later admitted to seeing a figure standing in the distance, silhouetted against the setting sun. When he called out to his colleagues, they saw nothing, but the figure remained visible on the footage, its outline eerily reminiscent of a person engulfed in flames. The psychological toll of visiting Ward C cannot be overstated. Many who dare to enter its desolate expanse report feelings of suffocation, as though the air itself resists their presence. Others describe vivid nightmares following their expeditions, dreams filled with images of burning bodies and endless corridors leading nowhere. Some swear they wake up to find ash-like residue on their skin or clothing, despite having taken precautions to avoid contamination. Despite, or perhaps because of, its sinister reputation, Ward C continues to attract curious souls eager to test their mettle against the unknown. For those brave enough to confront its ghosts, the experience offers a rare glimpse into the liminal space between life and death. Yet, as each new visitor steps closer to the heart of darkness, they must ask themselves, are they prepared to face the consequences of awakening forces better left undisturbed? Or will they become yet another chapter in the haunted history of Willowcrest Sanitarium? The Surgeon's Shadow, a spirit bound by guilt deep within the labyrinthine corridors of Willowcrest Sanitarium. There exists a tale so chilling it has become the stuff of legend among paranormal enthusiasts and local historians alike. It is the story of Dr. Elias Marlowe, a brilliant but deeply troubled surgeon whose legacy haunts the hospital long after his death. Known for his pioneering work in experimental neurosurgery during the mid-20th century, Marlowe was celebrated as a visionary, until his methods crossed into morally ambiguous territory, leaving behind a trail of shattered lives and unanswered questions. Today, his spirit is said to linger in Operating Room 12, forever tethered to the place where his darkest deeds unfolded. Dr. Marlowe's descent into infamy began in the early 1960s, a time when Willowcrest was at the forefront of controversial medical practices. Tasked with overseeing the hospital's newly established psychosurgical unit, Marlowe championed the use of prefrontal lobotomies as a cure-all for severe mental illness. Despite growing skepticism about the procedure's efficacy and ethics, he performed hundreds of operations, often without obtaining proper consent from patients or their families. His justifications were rooted in a twisted blend of ambition and hubris. He believed himself above reproach, convinced that his innovations would redefine the future of psychiatry. However, the reality of his actions told a different story. Patients subjected to Marlowe's surgeries often emerged irreparably damaged, some catatonic, others reduced to childlike states incapable of coherent thought or speech. Families who once hoped for miracles instead found themselves grieving loved ones lost to the scalpel. Rumors spread of Marlowe dismissing complications as necessary sacrifices in the pursuit of progress, further eroding trust in his judgment. Staff members whispered of late-night sessions in or 12, where the doctor worked tirelessly, driven by an obsession bordering on madness. The turning point came in 1967, when a whistleblower leaked documents detailing Marlowe's misconduct to investigative journalists. The exposé revealed not only the alarming rate of post-operative fatalities but also allegations of unauthorized experiments conducted on unwilling subjects. Public outrage erupted, forcing the hospital administration to suspend Marlowe pending an inquiry. Stripped of his privileges and facing potential criminal charges, the once revered surgeon vanished under mysterious circumstances shortly thereafter. His body was discovered days later in the basement morgue, slumped over a steel examination table with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the temple. Since then, reports of paranormal activity linked to Dr. Marlowe have surfaced repeatedly, centering around or 12. Visitors describe an oppressive atmosphere permeating the room, as though the air itself resists intrusion. Those bold enough to enter often report hearing metallic clinks and clatters, reminiscent of surgical instruments being handled, even though the space has lain empty for decades. Others claim to see a gaunt figure clad in blood-stained scrubs standing motionless in the corner, his face obscured by shadow. When approached, the apparition dissolves into nothingness, leaving behind a lingering scent of antiseptic and singed flesh. One particularly harrowing account comes from a group of paranormal investigators who spent a night in or 12 armed with thermal imaging cameras and EMF detectors. Midway through their session, the equipment registered a sudden spike in activity, capturing what appeared to be a translucent figure hovering near the operating table. Upon reviewing the footage, they noticed something even more unsettling. The figure bore a striking resemblance to archival photographs of Dr. Marlowe, complete with his signature wire-rimmed glasses and furrowed brow. Audio recordings captured during the same time frame included faint muttering, punctuated by sharp exclamations of, "I didn't mean to," and "They made me do it." Patients' family members who visit the hospital site also recount eerie experiences tied to Marlowe's ghost. Several have reported feeling an unseen hand press firmly against their chest, forcing them backward as they attempt to approach or 12. Others describe waking up in nearby areas to find themselves staring at distorted reflections in puddles of water, their faces overlaid with the visage of a man wearing surgical gloves. These visions are invariably accompanied by a deep sense of unease, as though Marlowe's spirit seeks both confession and absolution. Psychics and mediums who have attempted to communicate with the entity claim it radiates intense guilt and regret. They describe channeling fragmented thoughts and emotions belonging to a tormented soul unable to reconcile its actions with its intentions. Some believe Marlowe remains bound to or 12 not out of malice but because he cannot forgive himself for the harm he caused. Others speculate that his spirit serves as a guardian of sorts, preventing outsiders from disturbing the sanctity of the space where so much suffering occurred. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale or a genuine supernatural phenomenon, the haunting of Dr. Elias Marlowe underscores the enduring impact of human folly. His presence in or 12 serves as a grim reminder of the fine line between healer and harbinger of destruction, a line he tragically crossed in pursuit of greatness. For those brave enough to confront his ghost, the encounter offers a sobering meditation on accountability, redemption, and the weight of choices made in the name of progress. Yet, as each new visitor ventures into the depths of Willowcrest, they must decide whether they are prepared to face the surgeon's shadow, or risk becoming ensnared in its grasp. Nurses' quarters. Whispers of betrayal and broken promises beyond the sterile corridors and dimly lit operating rooms of Willowcrest Sanitarium lies another realm of haunting. A place where the personal tragedies of those who tended to the sick and dying intertwine with the institutional horrors of the hospital itself. The nurses' quarters, once a sanctuary for weary caretakers seeking respite from the relentless demands of their profession, now stands as a silent witness to betrayal, heartbreak, and unresolved anguish. Here, the spirits of nurses past linger, their stories etched into the very fabric of the building, waiting to be unearthed by those brave enough to listen. Among the most poignant tales is that of Nurse Eleanor Hayes, a devoted caregiver whose life unraveled under the weight of professional jealousy and personal loss. Hired in the early 1950s, Eleanor quickly earned a reputation for her unwavering dedication and compassionate bedside manner. Her warmth and kindness endeared her to patients and colleagues alike, making her a beloved figure within the hospital community. However, beneath her cheerful exterior lay a secret she guarded fiercely, a forbidden romance with Dr. Henry Caldwell, a married physician whose charm masked a manipulative nature. Their clandestine affair began innocently enough, fueled by shared late-night shifts and whispered conversations in secluded corners of the nurses' quarters. But as their relationship deepened, so too did the complications. Eleanor became pregnant, a revelation that sent shockwaves through her carefully constructed world. Desperate to protect his reputation, Dr. Caldwell pressured her to terminate the pregnancy, promising to leave his wife and build a future together afterward. Trusting his assurances, Eleanor complied, only to watch him retreat further into denial as months passed without resolution. The strain of betrayal took its toll on Eleanor, manifesting in erratic behavior and bouts of depression. Colleagues noted her increasing withdrawal, attributing it to exhaustion until one fateful night when tragedy struck. Returning to the nurses' quarters after a grueling shift, Eleanor discovered Dr. Caldwell in an intimate embrace with another nurse, a younger, more compliant protégé he had groomed to replace her. Consumed by rage and despair, she confronted him, unleashing years of pent-up frustration in a heated exchange that ended with Caldwell storming out, vowing never to speak to her again. Hours later, Eleanor's lifeless body was found hanging in her quarters, a hastily scrawled note clutched in her hand accusing Caldwell of deceit and abandonment. The official ruling labeled her death a suicide, but whispers of foul play persisted among staff members who believed she had been driven to desperation by systematic emotional abuse. Following her passing, strange occurrences began to plague the nurses' quarters. Lights flickered unpredictably, drawers opened and closed on their own, and the faint scent of lavender, Eleanor's signature perfume, wafted through the air, evoking memories of her presence. Visitors to the abandoned hospital report encountering Eleanor's ghost, often appearing as a translucent figure dressed in vintage nursing attire. She is typically seen pacing the length of the hallway outside her former quarters, her expression one of perpetual sadness. Some claim to hear soft sobbing emanating from behind closed doors, while others described feeling an inexplicable chill as they passed by her old room. On occasion, guests have reported seeing a shadowy silhouette reflected in mirrors, its features bearing an uncanny resemblance to archival photographs of Eleanor. Another spectral resident of the nurses' quarters is believed to be Agnes Whitaker, a veteran nurse whose career spanned over 3 decades. Known for her strict adherence to protocol and no-nonsense demeanor, Agnes commanded respect from all who worked under her supervision. Yet beneath her stern exterior lay a woman burdened by loneliness and regret. Widowed at a young age, she poured herself into her work, eschewing personal relationships in favor of professional excellence. Over time, however, the isolation took its toll, leaving her embittered and resentful of younger nurses whose lives seemed full of promise and possibility. Agnes's final days at Willowcrest were marked by escalating tensions with newer staff members, whom she accused of incompetence and laziness. Her criticisms grew increasingly harsh, culminating in a heated argument with a junior nurse who retaliated by filing a formal complaint. Humiliated and stripped of her supervisory role, Agnes retired abruptly, retreating to her quarters where she died alone weeks later. Since then, her spirit has been known to manifest as a stern-faced apparition, reprimanding intruders with sharp words and disapproving glares. Paranormal investigators exploring the nurses' quarters have captured compelling evidence supporting these claims. Thermal cameras revealed distinct cold spots concentrated near Eleanor's former room and Agnes's favorite recliner, while audio recordings pick up faint murmurs and indistinct phrases, some laced with anger, others tinged with sorrow. One particularly chilling EVP session yielded a voice clearly stating, "You betrayed me," followed by the sound of shattering glass, an apparent reference to Eleanor's shattered trust. Despite, or perhaps because of, their haunted reputations, the nurses' quarters continue to draw curious souls eager to connect with the spirits of those who served within its walls. For those willing to brave the darkness, the experience offers a unique opportunity to confront the human side of Willowcrest's tragic history. Yet, as each new visitor steps across the threshold, They must decide whether they are ready to face the echoes of betrayal and broken promises, or risk becoming entangled in the web of sorrow woven by Eleanor, Agnes, and countless others who called this place home. The morgue, a cold embrace of death beneath the crumbling edifice of Willowcrest Sanitarium, lies a space that embodies the raw essence of mortality. The morgue, once a functional chamber designed to house the deceased awaiting identification or burial, it now stands as a chilling monument to the inevitability of death and the mysteries it conceals. Here, the air is perpetually frigid, heavy with the metallic tang of decay and the oppressive weight of countless souls who pass through its doors. For those who dare to descend into its depths, the morgue offers not solace but a confrontation with the abyss, a place where the boundary between life and eternal rest blurs disturbingly. The morgue's reputation as a nexus of paranormal activity stems from its grim purpose and the unspeakable events that transpired within its walls. During its operational years, the facility was notorious for overcrowding, forcing staff to stack bodies in makeshift storage units when demand exceeded capacity. The lack of proper refrigeration systems meant decomposition accelerated rapidly, filling the room with nauseating odors that seeped into every crevice. Witnesses recall the sight of bloated corpses spilling onto the floor during peak periods, their contorted faces frozen in expressions of agony. It was said that the stench of death lingered even after thorough cleaning, as though the very stones absorbed the essence of those who perished. But the horrors extend beyond mere physical decay. Tales abound of patients mistakenly pronounced dead and placed in the morgue only to awaken hours later, clawing desperately at coffin lids or screaming for help. One such incident involved a young woman named Margaret Ellis, admitted for what was believed to be a fatal case of pneumonia. Declared deceased after failing to respond to stimuli, she was wheeled into the morgue and left in a drawer. Hours later, attendants were startled by faint knocking emanating from inside the unit. When they opened it, they found Margaret gasping for air, her eyes wide with terror. Though revived, she never fully recovered from the trauma, spending the remainder of her days plagued by nightmares of suffocation and entrapment. Such incidents imbued the morgue with an aura of dread, fostering legends of restless spirits unable to transition beyond the mortal coil. Visitors report feeling an overwhelming sense of claustrophobia upon entering, as though invisible hands pressed down on their chests. Others describe hearing rhythmic tapping sounds, reminiscent of fingers drumming against metal surfaces, a chilling echo of Margaret's ordeal. Shadows flit across the corners of vision, taking on humanoid shapes before dissipating into the gloom. Some claim to see pale figures lying motionless on rusted gurneys, their forms illuminated briefly by flickering fluorescent lights before vanishing entirely. One particularly harrowing account comes from a group of urban explorers who ventured into the morgue armed with flashlights and recording equipment. As they examined the rows of rust-eaten drawers, one member swore he felt a freezing breath brush against the back of his neck. Turning abruptly, he saw nothing, but the temperature plummeted dramatically, causing condensation to form on his camera lens. Reviewing the footage later, they discovered a blurry figure standing in the background, arms outstretched as if reaching for something, or someone. Psychics and mediums who have attempted to communicate with the entities residing in the morgue describe a cacophony of voices layered atop one another, each crying out in desperation. They speak of channeling fragmented memories belonging to individuals who died under questionable circumstances, their spirits trapped in a state of confusion and fear. Some believe these entities remain bound to the morgue because their deaths went unrecognized or unacknowledged, leaving them yearning for closure. Others speculate that the room itself acts as a conduit, amplifying negative energy and drawing in wandering souls seeking refuge from the void. Even seasoned investigators admit to feeling unnerved by the morgue's pervasive atmosphere of despair. Cameras malfunction inexplicably, capturing distorted images of shadowy figures lurking just out of focus. Audio recordings reveal faint moans and guttural whispers, interspersed with the sound of rattling chains and dragging footsteps. One investigator described experiencing a sudden onset of vertigo, as though pulled downward into an abyss, accompanied by a voice hissing urgently, get out now!" For those brave enough to confront the morgue's chilling embrace, the experience offers a rare glimpse into the fragility of human existence and the persistence of consciousness beyond death. Yet, As each new visitor steps closer to the threshold, they must weigh their curiosity against the potential cost of awakening forces better left undisturbed. Within the cold, sterile confines of Willowcrest's morgue, the line between the living and the dead dissolves, leaving only questions, and the unbearable silence of eternity. Dear reader, as we bring this journey through Oregon's most haunted hospital to a close, I hope you've felt the same spine-tingling allure that has drawn countless souls to these spectral sanctuaries. These stories are more than just campfire tales or urban legends. They are fragments of history, stitched together by human emotion, tragedy, and the unrelenting passage of time. Each creaking floorboard, each whispered name, and each fleeting shadow serves as a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. But why stop here? If these accounts have stirred something within you, a spark of curiosity, a shiver of excitement, I urge you to take the next step. Visit one of these haunted hospitals yourself. Walk the same halls where spirits are said to roam, sleep in the rooms where history's echoes reverberate, and let the unknown brush against your senses. Whether you're a skeptic seeking proof or a believer eager to commune with the other side, these establishments offer an unparalleled opportunity to confront the mysteries that lie just beyond the veil. And when you return, share your story. Did you feel the icy touch of a ghostly hand? Hear the faint strains of music in an empty corridor? Or perhaps nothing happened at all, but isn't that silence just as intriguing? Your experiences add to the rich tapestry of lore surrounding these haunted hospitals, ensuring their legacies endure for generations to come. Until then, keep your lanterns lit and your courage steady. The spirits are waiting.